Right, this is going to be a walk-in 2-minute Tuesday in the lovely grounds of Dalgan Park and the cows. What is VO2 max and what's lactate threshold testing, lactate testing? VO2, how you can process the oxygen through your muscles when you're exercising. So that's VO2 max, or VO2. And then the VO2 max is basically how sustainability before you start to fatigue, before your performance starts to drop. So hit that peak of where your max is. And lactate threshold is kind of the same, but it's basically when the threshold of lactic acid starts to come in and starts to affect your ability of performance. So should you get tested for VO2 and should you get tested for lactate? Yeah, you can go do it, and if you want to look at the levels of like what happens of, like for instance, there's a few people that have sent me their VO2 max and their lactate, and basically you can see at what stage that their performance starts to drop. Basically a graph should go like that, but and continue to rise as the pace goes on and the efforts get longer and harder. So what happens is that basically it's going up and up, and then you get to a certain speed and then it just peaks and jumps up, and that just shows that you're not training at that level enough to be able to, for your body to learn to adapt basically. So if you don't want to get your VO2 tested or your lactate tested, what you should do is look at your 5k PBs, 10k PBs, half marathon. So there are 4 things that you can look at to be able to judge what paces you should be going at. You should be hitting basically somewhere between 800 meters up to a marathon if you're training for a marathon. It all depends on what event you're training for. But to be able to run fast, you need to be able to train fast. You can't just forget about the aerobic side, and you can't just forget about the speed side. You have to have the two to be able to do whatever you want to do. So let's say if I was doing something for a marathon, you need to look at your I base it in and around 5k, sub 5k sometimes, and then up to a marathon pace. You should be able to hit, not all in one session, you should be able to hit all 4 events in 1 week's training. So if that's one session that you're doing 5 and 10k pace, your next session is half marathon pace, and then somewhere in and around you should be hitting marathon goal pace. Do I think all this is beneficial, like VO2 max tests and stuff? Yeah, there's a time and place for it, but it's not the be all and end all. You still have to put the work in. It's not the be all and end all. So I hope that kind of made it clearer what a VO2 max test and lactate testing is. And most importantly, if you're looking for a training program for Dublin coming up, it's coming up to 22 weeks. So what I base the training off is in between 18 to 20 weeks of training. So don't leave it too long. I suppose 16 would probably be pushing. 16's all right, but I think most beneficial is 18 to 20. And that's workout. No, that's not workout. That's 2-minute Tuesday done and dusted. Like, share, leave a comment if you want me to explain something, email me, do whatever you want. And I'll see you next week. Bye bye.